But at least from our customer base, we're saying that for every human identity, there's on average 144 non-human identities, which is an insane number. Like, to manage that amount of, take a pretty small company of 1,000 employees, they will have on average 144,000 non-human identities. How can you even, start to manage or protect or secure them?
Welcome to Cult Products, a podcast by Yaya Digital. I'm your host, Phill Keaney-Bolland, and on this show, we sit down with the founders and leaders shaping the next wave of cybersecurity innovation. You'll hear the stories behind how they found their first customers, defined what made them different, and built products that earned a loyal following in one of the toughest markets on earth. Let's dive in. Hey, Itzik, and welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us all the way from a freezing cold Boston. Great to have you on Cult Products.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Phil.
Maybe we could just jump in. I'd love to hear a little bit about your story. So what was it that led you to found Entro?
Yeah, so Entro is a non-human identity and AI agent security company. Just to frame, non-human identities, they are being used by applications in order to authenticate against resources application needs. So if an application needs to authenticate against a database, they will use a non-human identity to facilitate that authentication. And I was... Before Entro, I was responsible for the internal security of Microsoft Defender Cloud. Prior to that, of Microsoft Office 365 Cloud. Prior to that was the Chief Information Security Officer for a large healthcare services company. And I was breached a few times by non-human identities, which kind of led me to think a lot about the problem and to join forces with a friend of mine. He was working for Broadcom, and Broadcom back then had an event around non-human identities. So we, talked a lot about it and tried to figure out what can we do. And once we thought we found a solution, we actually left and started Entro.
Really? So this is super interesting. So you have been a CISO, you've been experiencing all these problems, and the whole motivation for you was really like directly related to that experience, which is cool. Gives you a huge leg up, I think, thinking about how to solve these problems. I'm curious, first of all, how does it feel now you've gone from being presumably approached by quite a lot of tech businesses and sold to being on the other side of the fence, where you're now having to think about actually selling to other CISOs? How has that transition felt?
I never saw the go-to-market side at all. Like, I never understood the force of marketing and sales and so forth. So it is a learning experience for sure. I was, yes, always on the security practitioner side, always on the customer side, always being sold to. And it was weird at first, but it's great because now you're able to see both sides of the coin and to understand kind of the full picture. So yeah, non-human identities has always been a huge issue. It's today the second most frequent attack vector out there. So it's maybe we're in an easier market. So it's so for us to generate leads or to be able to sell, it's I wouldn't say easy. It's never easy, but maybe easier. But yeah, I think also my background and my partner, Adam, the co-founder and CTO, background in security really helped.
What do you think that people who perhaps haven't sat on the other side of the fence don't know about how to actually build trust and connect with that audience?
When you're on the vendor side and you're trying to sell, you want to kind of understand the buyer side, right? You want to understand how decisions are being made and who's in the committee, and how do you prioritize stuff and so forth. And I've been there. I've done that for years. So the way that I used to prioritize project when I was responsible for security, the way that I used to ask for budget and so forth, is basically taking the leading reports in the market. The leading reports, at least in cybersecurity market, are IBM Cost of Data Breach, the Verizon report, and Gartner. And then, see what's the most frequent attacks out there. So if phishing is number one, okay, do I have something for phishing? I do, great. Non-human identities is number two, AI agent it's number three. Okay, do I have anything for them? No, okay, that's my next project. And it's pretty easy to explain it. It's pretty easy to ask for budget from, either the CEO or the board or whatever, because, those are industry reports. Most of the attacks are going down that route, and we have nothing, or what we have is sufficient. And even understanding that part is super, super critical, right? Because you're helping your customers to explain why they need your solution, because they can get it on the technical side. They are seeing the problem, but sometimes, approving the budget and explaining it to non-technical folks can be a challenge. And I think that's really, really helping.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. If I was going to sort of just summarize what you just said there, it would be life is a lot easier if you pick a problem to solve that is a really big problem that people are actually feeling the pain
for
of.
Sure. For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
I suppose, if that demand is already there and people are already looking for ways to part with, some of their budget to solve it, it does make things easier. And non-human identities, I mean, that is something we're certainly having a lot of conversations about. I think, obviously, with the kind of rise of agents and all of the kind of innovation that's been happening recently, it's a big topic of conversation, and identity in general, I know is one of the things where CISOs are kind of feeling the most pain, for sure. What is it about what you're doing at Entro that sets you apart from all the other people that are trying to address those problems?
Yeah, no, I agree. Identity is definitely the new frontier, and you're seeing like the market reacting to it, with the Palo Alto acquisition of CyberArk, and CrowdStrike acquisition, and ServiceNow acquisition, and billions are being deployed to solve the problem. And I get it. Back then we had firewalls or network as a boundary, and now it's identity. Everything is in the cloud, everything is accessible. The identity is what let you in. And let me share one statistic with you. For every, at least from our customer base, and we have enough, maybe not enough, we always want more, but at least from our customer base, we're saying that for every human identity, there's on average 144 non-human identities, which is an insane number. Like, to manage that amount of, take a pretty small company of 1,000 employees, they will have on average 144,000 non-human identities. How can you even, start to manage or protect or secure them? Nowadays, for AI agent, every seventh employee on average is adopting AI agents and have AI agents. And I'm not saying that, take the number of employees and divide it by 7 and that's the number of AI agent, but every 7th employee has at least one AI agent. So it is fastly growing, for sure, and it is the new frontier. That's how you're accessing data. So yes, identity is definitely top of mind. And what we're doing amazingly at Entro is we're able. So let's take a one step back. The main problems with non-human identities or AI agent is that, unlike human identities, you literally don't know anything about them. So human identities are your employees, right? They represent your employees. You're hiring more people. You're creating more human identities. And you know everything about your employees, right? You know their name and maybe their SSN or ID, where they live and what they are responsible to, and so forth. You have nothing of that sort when it comes to identities being used by applications or AI agent or agentic identities. I usually don't know who's creating them and where they are and how many you have. And if you find one, so non-human identity, if you ever seen it, it's a long randomized string, which means you don't even know if it's actually a non-human identity or just someone, I don't know, fell down on his keyboard. Like you have no idea. And even if you can validate it's a non-human identity, like then what? Who's the human owner? Which application is using it to access what resource, what permissions they have, how it's being utilized, is it being misused? And all of those questions for AI agents as well. Who created it? What permission? For what? How it's being utilized? Is it being misused? And so forth. So the main problem is security teams usually know nothing about all of those identities. They don't know how many they have. They don't know who created them. They lack a lot of context. They don't know where they are, and so forth. And I think that's what Entro doing amazingly. We're able to discover those non-human identities and AI agents everywhere. We're able to find them at the laptop of a developer or up in the cloud. We're able to give a full inventory, very comprehensive inventory that answers the question of how many AI agents you have, how many non-human identities you have, where they are, how they are being utilized. We're creating a lineage map of which application is using what non-human identity to access what resource, a lot of vital information like who's the human owner, permissions, activities, and so forth. So now you have a full picture of all of your identities. And then you can, and we're connecting the dots, so you can see all of the interconnectivity that human invoke that AI agent to use that non-human identity to access that data within the environment. And then it was also someone from, I don't know, North Korea tried to use it. So that's an abnormal behavior. So we pause that or disable that and so forth. So we're granting amazing, unparalleled visibility. And then we're using that visibility in order to do management actions and security actions.
I'm curious, in a space that is, there's a lot of competition, right? There's a lot of people out there trying to solve the same thing as you. How much time do you spend kind of looking over your shoulder, looking at what competition are doing and letting that kind of inform your product strategy versus, you have your own vision, you know what makes you different, and then you're following your own path?
I see all forms of feedback as a good feedback. And maybe it's feedback from our customers, and maybe it's feedback from our internal team, and maybe it's something that we're seeing that our competitors are doing. All forms of feedback and every learning is a good one. We were the first company to introduce non-human identity solution. We are the first company to introduce the AI agent identity security too. So usually it's our competitors learning from us, but and I'm super proud of that, by the way, too. Super proud of what we're doing and that we're paving the way, and seeing so many other companies following our footsteps. But for me, it's not about pride or anything else. Like if we're seeing somebody else solving something in the right way, competitor or non-competitor, a customer that is offering it to us or recommending it or wherever it's going to be and whatever it's going to be, we have our own internal process to evaluate those kinds of stuff. And if it makes sense, it makes sense.
And do you feel like where you've ended up is where you expected you would get to when you first started the business? Or do you think you've learned so much along the way that you've ended up in a surprising place?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think both. I think I expected it to be a huge space and a fast growing space. I know that I suffered from that. I know my peers when I was a CISO all suffered from that. So I understood the solution is needed for sure. And I expected it to grow and grow fast. But it's also surprising that it is growing that fast, So it's always a surprise, always when you're doing something new. And I love changes, by the way. I think changes are great, but definitely in the startup world, like every day is another change, and it's surprising.
And speaking of changes, agentic's obviously been a massive disruptor in this space.
In every space, yeah.
How do you feel? Because it's such a seismic shift, and it happens so quickly, when you're trying to kind of plot a course for your business and things are changing so rapidly. How do you keep up with that?
I think we're at the eye of the storm. I think Entro is perfectly positioned to handle AI agents and the security of AI agents. So for us, it was definitely a gift. I'll explain it shortly. AI agents, the only AI agents that actually matter to security are AI agents that have any sort of data access. So if you have AI agent that can communicate with your calendar, the security cares about it, right? And if you have an AI agent that is able to communicate with something else within the organization, read files or whatever, then security cares about it. In order for AI agent to gain any sort of data access, they are using APIs, right? So if you have an AI agent that is managing your calendar, is going to use API to connect to that calendar, and is going to authenticate with that API using a non-human identity. Even if you're doing like human delegation, it will result in a non-human identity in the background auth token. That's the type of non-human identity. So for us, the only way that AI agents are actually able to communicate with each other or with any source of data is by using non-human identities. And we already have the best non-human identity security platform out there. So it was kind of easy for us to explain to the AI agent too and connect the dots and say, okay, those are all of your AI agents. Those are the non-human identities they're accessing. Those are the permissions, those are the activities, and therefore we're able to secure them too. And it's also increasing the number, definitely increasing the number of non-human identities out there. So for us, it was truly a gift. We're perfectly positioned over there in the market to control that market, and it's yet another fast growing market that we're extremely good at and extremely well positioned at.
So you were very much in the right place at the right time, which is amazing. I guess how much of that is by luck and how much of that is by design? You know, we started off talking about picking a problem space that feels big and important and you know super critical. Did you envisage it being just as high up the agenda as it ultimately has been, or has that been a pleasant surprise?
No, I thought it's gonna be very high in the agenda, and also like it's not set up luck. So when Adam and me started Entro, and we thought about, we understood the problem very well, and we thought about different solutions to that problem, and then we took that solution before even starting to code anything. We took that solution to a lot of different CISOs and security practitioners, and we asked them. We were like, okay, that's the problem. Do you have it? Do you know how many non-human identities you have? He said, no. Do you want to know? He said, yes. Why do you want to know? Because those are identities that can access my infrastructure. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Okay, so that's the solution we're offering. What do you think about it? And we've done that validation for at least 200 different organizations and security practitioners. Most of them are CISOs and so forth. So we've definitely validated there's a huge problem out there. So that wasn't surprising. What is surprising is, the AI agent and the wave it created, and how much it's relevant to the non-human identity. So that was definitely a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, 200 validation interviews before you hit even any code.
Write one line of code. Yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, that is exactly what we would advocate people do to try and, not just validate, but also shape the proposition. Can you tell me a little bit about, how did you actually do that? How did you get in touch with people? How did you run those sessions? What did you do with the information? What did that whole process look like?
Yeah, so there are few things you would like to get out of the call. First of all, you would like to validate the problem. Maybe it's not even a problem, Why offering a solution if it's, I don't know, the sixth problem of them or the seventh, and they will never get to it? Because if it's number 7, then you will never do something with it. There's always gonna be a number 2 and number 1 that will take all of the place in the sun. So first of all, you want to understand if it's truly a problem. And that's number 1, and there are a lot of different ways to do that. It's not only asking if it's a problem, but it's asking, okay, so what do we do to solve it today? What have you tried? And kind of understand how much is currently deployed in trying to solve it. And then now difficult it is to solve it. So if he has teams that are working in order to solve that, like that's a pain point, right? He's already investing a lot of money and time. So you want to validate the problem, and then you want to validate the solution. So now you're offering a solution, and the solution, should click and click fast. And I think the best validation, and that really helped us to get to that number, is trying or asking, do you know anybody else with that problem? Do you know anybody else that would like to have that conversation too? And if he's like, yeah, I spoke about that or recently or 2 months ago or whatever, and I do think there's maybe another person, let me connect you to him. And he's connecting it to him, that means that we're probably like, he cares enough, that guy that you're speaking with or lady, and then he thinks another person will care enough about it too. So yeah, we had a lot of that. We had a lot of people referring us to other people. We had our own network that we utilized, and we also had a lot of outreach as well. Like we basically sent over LinkedIn. We were like, hey, we think we have an amazing solution for that problem, and that's also kind of a validation. If people are like, okay, let's talk, then that's also a validation. They are giving you their time under the premise that you found the solution, and you're not even telling them the solution because it's too much for a message. So yeah, that's what we've done.
That's super valuable advice, I think, about the referral thing. I think if you've worked hard to get in front of one person, that person does probably have people in their network who would also be interesting to speak to. And every opportunity to do that is great. I think that is a super strong takeaway for anybody listening to this. I'm curious, I was chatting to somebody the other day and they said, effectively, how do we kind of get started with, building out all that network and all that kind of stuff. And on the LinkedIn point, I said, that is a way of doing it. Use your existing network, use the things that are closest in proximity to you, but expect to hear a lot of no's and expect to hear a lot of nothing as well.
It is what it is, that's...
Yeah. How did you find that experience?
I get it. I get it that a lot of people are not reading it or, just see someone they don't know and they're not even reading the first word. I didn't read too much into that. If they are not responding, if they are responding, then you need to read into it. So if most of them would tell us, no, it's not a problem for me, I wouldn't even take, 20 minutes to talk about that. Again, that's good. That's a validation that you're working on the wrong stuff and you should probably move. So yeah, so the I wouldn't say no shows, but people that are not responding, ghosting, whatever you're gonna call it, you can ignore them, take them out of the equation. But the people who are responding, then you need to read what they are responding and if they are giving you the time of day.
Did you do this as a mass campaign or did you do one-to-one messages to people?
Mostly one-to-one messages.
And what sort of, how many are we talking here to get to those 200?
So again, a lot was from our network and by referrals, but yeah, I don't know. We went to also events and talked about it in events and like just walking the floor, and we sent hundreds for sure.
Yeah, it's a numbers game sometimes, I think, but hundreds of one-to-one messages, it's a big undertaking, but as far as I'm aware, there's not really a way around it.
Correct, but you also wanna, like, you're very early on, you also wanna refine the messaging, try to understand what message is being picked up, why, what should they change, and you have time because you haven't took the seed funding yet, and that's your time to learn, because once you're taking money, off to the races. You now need to deliver fast.
So you've validated the idea at this point. You've gone out, spoken to 200 people. This is definitely a problem. It's a problem from your experience anyway. You validated the solution. That must have helped a lot with securing funding.
Yeah. I think, when you're trying to raise money, wherever you are, you can be a late stage company, a very early stage company, wherever you are, the investor want to de-risk itself, right? That's what he's trying to do. He would like to de-risk his investment. And there are a lot of ways to de-risk the investment, but definitely a huge one is, hey, we talked with 200 people. Out of them, 80% said they will buy that and they have budget for that, and so forth. And you can reach out to anybody from that list, or I can maybe make the connection. I think it's a great way to de-risk your investors. Definitely when you're entering a new space, because we offered something new. We offered it's not like next gen firewall and you can still budget. We needed to create that budget, and definitely there's a lot of risks attached to it. And I agree that's a great way to de-risk it.
Yeah. And how did you actually find it once you pivoted towards sales? Did you find that you converted a lot of those initial 200 people? Tell me about the early stages.
Those were definitely also our first customers for sure. We kept in touch. Yeah, we kept in touch with a lot of them, and we were like, okay, we secured, and also some of them also take 2 calls with our VCs because they wanted to talk with them to understand the pain point too, and so forth. But so they helped us secure the funding as well. But after that, we kept in touch, and we were like, okay, we're building it. We're still in stealth, but we have something. Do you want to try it? And then you have design partners, and then they are paying customers, and so forth. So yes, I think leaning on that validation is truly strong for sure.
Yeah. I think what you've done is amazing, because it's customer centric. It's all about learning. It's all about validating, de-risking, all that kind of stuff. And then ultimately really helps with that initial traction build as well. And I guess people feel like they've come along the journey with you. By the time there's actually a product to buy, they feel like they've been listened to and had a hand in shaping it, and that you really kind of must understand the problem. I guess that's the benefit to them, really. And you've obviously been on the other side of this as well as a CISO, is if you invest your time in vendors and startups and new ideas, I guess the incentive is you ultimately get a product that is much better suited to what you actually need, right?
Exactly.
So
they want the biggest amount of eyes looking at what you're building. It's costing so much money. And I think that's something you need to emphasize. You need to, when you're talking with your customers and you're like, please tell me the truth, because I'm deploying millions into that. And if you had millions, what would to deploy in that problem, would you spend it on that feature or that feature? That's costing $400K. Is it worth it? And if he says yes, then why? And if he says no, then why? And I think really explaining to them that it's not, because everybody always gonna look at a button and will say, I wish that button will also do that. Fine. But try to explain, there are choices too.
You're painting a picture of very smooth sailing. I think you've.
Oh, it's never smooth sailing. It's never smooth sailing.
Well, I would be surprised if you were the only startup founder in the world who had totally smooth sailing. I guess if you think about looking back over the experience that you've had, are there any things that if you had the luxury of a time machine and you could go back and talk to yourself at the start of the journey, what would you say? This is my advice. These are things you just watch out for. This is how to deal with some of the challenges that are coming up.
That's too much. I think about the maybe the top one, but that's definitely too much. When I was a first-time manager, or when I managed teams for the 5th time, that was very, very different, right? So the same goes, first-time founder or first-time CEO or first-time sales. Second time will definitely improve because I have a lot of learnings. And there's many, many, many learnings. I think the overall thing that I would emphasize more is maybe delivering stuff even sooner that we have, and we delivered stuff very, very soon. But even sooner, like going back to the point of you want to get as many eyes on what you're doing and what you're building. And I know even if you're buying a new whatever shirt, you wanna probably get everybody's feedback. It's not me. I'll buy it online and that's it. But feedback are good. Feedback are good. And if you can deliver stuff sooner, even if it's broken, then they will give you the feedback of what's broken. And if it's 10 stuff, then fine. Which one matters the most? Even deliver stuff sooner than we've done, and we've done it very, very soon. So it took us 6 months between the time that we raised our seed round and hired the first software engineer until we launched the first product. And that was fast. 6 months is very fast, but still even faster. As much as feedback as you can, because you need to move fast.
When you say move fast, what are the specifics that we talk about? How would you have changed your process to get faster? Because I'm assuming at the time it probably felt fast. What is it with hindsight that you think you might have done differently?
Yeah, so of course you have your roadmap, right? Of course you have your roadmap, and of course you're validating that roadmap, and you're asking your customers and other people too, and so forth, if that roadmap makes sense and why it makes sense and stuff like that. But nothing beats delivery. Nothing beats, hey, it's version 0, it's not even alpha, but I just wanted you to see it, play around with it, and tell me what do you think. And it can be totally broken, but you're going to get a great feedback if you're going to do it like that, and not wait until the beta release and so forth. Even if you discuss that with him, even if you showed him screens and wireframes, nothing beats experience. So if you can deliver stuff in a more granular way, do it. Always do it.
I don't want to paraphrase what you're saying, but what that sounds to me is not that you would necessarily build faster, but just that you would get feedback earlier.
I would release it
less finished rate.
Yes, I would release it faster, even if it's the ugliest thing you ever saw. Tell that, like make that, adjust the expectation. Tell, hey, it's not even alpha. It's not alpha. It's not beta. It's not nothing. But that's what we're building. You can kind of get the sense of where we're going. It's gonna be beautiful. It's gonna be seamless. Tell me what you think.
Yeah, and if you had done that, what do you think the impact would have been?
So I think, and we've done that. But I think if you can do it better, or if you can do more of that, then it means less time to deliver stuff that actually people wants. It's gonna shorten the time to get the right solution in place.
What I really love about everything that you've said is that you really put the actual customer at the center of everything. It's all very focused on fine-tuning what it is that you're doing around things that they actually need. And I wonder if, obviously that's a great methodology and, part of what should be part of everyone's playbook. But I wonder if your experience of actually sitting on the other side of this and being a CISO has maybe kind of colored that a little bit, so that, you're maybe able to empathize a bit more with those people that you're actually selling to naturally, and then think about this from the perspective of what would you want? What would you have expected from a great product? How sort of true does that feel to you?
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think it's one of our most powerful things about Entro, that we've been there. Both me, my co-founder, our VP of product, our VP of R&D, and a lot of other managers in the company have been on the customer side, security practitioner side, and we understand them, and we understand how they're thinking and their process, and we can relate to them, and it's very, very helpful. Let me give you an example. Let's say you want to open a restaurant. You will probably open a restaurant at your hometown, or where you know the flavors and know what people think, and you're not gonna go and do that in China, right? Because you're probably gonna fail. You don't know the audience. You don't know what they like. You don't know nothing. Probably, maybe you've been there a lot of times, but you're getting the sense, right? Definitely, if you know your customer base and you understand them, and definitely if you're a part of them, then yeah, stuff are easier.
Tell me a little bit about, looking ahead. I think we've talked a bit about, the journey to this point so far. When you think about broadening out that customer base and attracting more people, where are you placing your bets? What do you think are the channels that are most likely to actually, give you return on investment, get you new customers? Where are you focusing?
Our digital is working amazingly well. So for us it's digital, but it's everything else too. It's SDRs and it's events and it's pretty much everything. I think digital is probably the best way to go. You're kind of not in their face. People are searching for the problem, very high intent, and I think it's also like a machine, right? Because you know that you're paying whatever $100 to do Google ads, but down the funnel you will get $150 for every $100, because of you can convert customers like that. So it's kind of an easy process or machine to understand, and if you're able to build it, then you basically have a machine of money, right? You're deploying $10,000 in Google Ads, and you're getting a customer that's worth $100,000. So building those machines are super critical for any business.
Yeah, I mean, I always like to think about those kind of funnels as actually building a product, and it can take a little bit of time to design it and get the different conversion rates going and all the metrics and all that stuff ticking in the right direction. But then once you've got it, you've actually got an asset that can power your business. Where I think I often sort of challenge people is, you don't need to do 1,000,001 different things all the time. And actually, you spend so much time building one thing that's really, really good, put it out there. If all you're thinking about is the time period, well, this is this month's thing, and then next month is another thing, as opposed to the actual level of kind of market penetration, like how many people have actually experienced this thing. If it's a video, how many have watched it? If it's a download, how many have downloaded it? Then you get caught in this kind of washing machine of, well, now I need to create a new thing and a new thing and a new thing, but you never fully realize the value of the asset that you've created. And I think where I'm seeing, really smart moves in terms of marketing and lead generation is where people are actually thinking about it as, okay, we're building a machine here. This is got to be optimized as much as possible. And then we need to be able to continuously improve it and run it and build out all of those kind of things.
Yeah, I agree. And you can deliver something new, that's fine. But continue to use the old machine or the current machine until the new one is taking over. I mean, even, we're all over here, over 20-year-old. So we remember Facebook changing from like a dashboard with games, farm stuff, and so forth to the current Facebook. And that took them, like 5 years to do? They delivered something new, but they relied on the current one until they shaped enough the new one, right? So yeah, I fully agree.
Yeah.
What was the name of it? Farmville, maybe?
Farmville.
Yeah. Like entire Facebook was around Farmville back then. But they changed it and they refined the new UI to what it is now. And now finally, like after 5 years, finally it took over. The metrics were better, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think there was before Farmville, which was when it first started, and it's kind of hit my university, and it was, it was just writing on people's walls and stuff. And then there was after Farmville, which was the point where I was like, I can't use this platform anymore. I'm sick of people sending me sheep and things. This is crazy. And then there was like post Farmville, where it became like my mum sharing fake news.
Facebook can take 5 years in order to refine and shape enough the product to where it is today until they're making the switch. Then everybody can, right?
We're sort of getting towards time. There's a couple of things that I'd like to really ask you about. The first is just, for you and for Entro and for the future, what are the things that you're really excited about looking ahead?
I'm excited basically about anything and everything in Entro. I really love Entro. I really love the team. I really love what we've built. I really love the product. I really love the excitement that we're getting from our customers, and I'm truly excited about the AI agents. So we're seeing it growing. When we released our first AI agent solution, I think it was like 1 to 40 something people in the organization that adopted AI. Fast forward like 9 months, it's 1 to 7. Next, let's wait for another 9 months, probably almost everybody, and then we're gonna start seeing multipliers. So, and even faster, AI is running faster than other technologies adoption that we've seen before. So probably even faster. So I'm super excited about that. I'm super excited that we're in the right place in the market and we have the right technology to control that. I'm pretty much excited about everything in Entro.
You're a relatively experienced founder now compared to lots of people who are setting up on this journey. What is the advice you would give to those people who are just a little bit behind you in the journey? What do you think the most critical things are?
I would give that to anybody in any scenario, not only founder. If you're embarking on a journey that is a new one for you, if you never experienced that, and that can be you're changing jobs, you want to be a restaurant owner in China, right? Like we spoke about earlier, or whatever. If you're gonna do something that is new to you, reach out to somebody that already done that, right? And reach out to several of them and ask them everything you want to know, and try to get a sense. You're not gonna, of course, get the full experience, but find those people that have been there, done that, and ask for advice. You can. I can give them mine, which is probably, if you're starting, lean on validation as much as you can. But that's the true advice is find yourself some friends or people that are able. And our industry is a great industry, by the way. Everybody is willing to speak with everybody. Everybody is willing to help everybody. So reach out to other founders and build your founder network, so you can, when you're gonna have challenges, you can reach out and be like, hey, I got that. Have you seen it before? If so, what have you done? Find those few folks.
Yeah. I think one of the things that, as an industry, it is massively collegiate, which is really cool. Finding people who are just a bit ahead of you, I think is really great advice, because realistically, what you can learn from the CEO of Palo Alto or something like that is going to be very different, because it's going to be so far removed from the reality of what you're doing right now. So, there's sometimes the big names sound good on paper, but the people who are right in the thick of it, I think, are really interesting mentors. Itzik, it's been a real pleasure to chat to you today. Thank you so much for your time. Obviously, people are interested in Entro, head to the website. Is there anything else? How can people reach out to you if they want some advice? What else would you like to promote?
I'm available on LinkedIn. You can definitely send me a message over there, or via Entro website, entro.security. I'm available. Like, if somebody wants to talk with me or someone that Entro, like, that's easy enough to do.
Well, thank you so much. Stay safe in all the snowstorms and things that are hitting the East Coast at the minute. It's been great having you on the show.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me, Phill.
Cult Products is brought to you by Yaya, helping cybersecurity companies define who they're for, what they do, and how they're different. To learn more, visit yaya.co. And don't forget to search for Cult Products in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. Follow the show so you never miss an episode. On behalf of the team at Yaya, thanks for listening.